Hi, I'm Linda Roberts. I'm a photographer. I'm the featured artist for Queen City Framing and Art Supplies for the month of April. I have photographed most of my life. I've had a camera in my hand most of my life. I like to shoot landscape, nature, fine artwork. I do broad landscapes, but mostly I like to tell a story. I work with the details of a scene or close-ups of a scene and tell a story. And if I can tell a story, if you hear that story, and if I create an emotion and you feel that emotion, then I feel like I've succeeded as an artist. My mother loved photography, always had a camera. In fact, I have her old Brownie box camera as part of my antique collection. I just, Instamatic and the little point and shoots that we had then, always was shooting something. And then I actually had a mentor in the mid-70s that got me started with SLRs, started with the Nikon, and he mentored me and taught me about photography and worked with me on composition and printing and that sort of thing. And then I had some formal education as well. I went to college a couple of times for photography. And then in 2008, went to Rocky Mountain School of Photography. And I was there for 6 months. I did their summer intensive, advanced intensive, a couple of professional studies, and a workshop. And best experience ever. It was wonderful. So that kind of spurred me to go on with it in my later years. And so when I retired from my other profession, this is kind of filling in the gap, and it lets me go play. Everybody's capable of learning. That's my viewpoint. If you have the desire to learn, there is a resource for you, and everyone is capable of doing that. As far as how photography has changed, the principles of photography are the same, and I don't know if people misunderstand that with the digital age or not, but the principles of photography are the same. You have your exposure, you have your film speed or white balance, film speed or ISO, and then you have your white balance, which equates to the different types of film, for color or black and white or that sort of thing. Where the difference comes in is the processing. You instead of having the dark room, you put it on a computer and you do your exposure and your contrast and your big adjustments like you would do in the dark room. And you can burn and dodge, like in the dark room. So that's the biggest difference. And the cameras have changed, of course. The cameras have gotten much more sophisticated. You can program different things. I'm an old school girl. I shoot manually. I set my own f-stop, and I set my own shutter speed, and I set my own film speed. But cameras are capable of compensating for a lot of that. So when someone is just starting out, they can do a program mode, or there's ways to get them started to really get the feel of the camera, and then generally they go on and learn how to manage the exposure. I have started doing a lot. I'm trying to work on different types of presentations. So I love the traditional matting and framing for some pieces, but I like to do something a little different, not edgy, but not straight traditional either. As an example, these pieces here I printed on canvas, and I do my own printing. Printed on canvas, stretched it, and then had these ladies here at Queen City put them in a float frame for me and set them out just a little bit in that float frame. You see the frame, but it isn't what you see first. And, so I do that. I also do some work on acrylic, high definition acrylic, where the image is printed on a metallic paper, face mounted to acrylic, and then backed, and it's all sealed together. These I intended to be black and white, so my exposure was such that the background was faded out more, so it was darker. The white ones over here were done in a snowstorm. So I wanted those trees with the hoarfrost and the snow and the mist, and so it was just magical. I'm almost always done landscapes, nature. I like automobiles. I do spokes and chrome, so like antique cars. We're car people. So antique cars, I do close-ups of different parts of the cars rather than the big glamour shot. So I do those, and sometimes I print those on aluminum. Sometimes I do them matted, on paper and matted. So I do that, mostly landscape, nature work. To make it work, you have to have some basic knowledge. You have to have an eye, and that eye can be developed. Some people have a natural artistic way of looking at things for shooting. Other people don't, but you can develop that. If you really want to do it, you can develop that.